He was 17 years old when his own brothers threw him into a pit and sold him to strangers. They watched the traders carry him away. And then they lied to their father and said he was dead. But what they meant for evil, God would use to save an entire nation. This is the story of Joseph. Long ago, in the land of Canaan, lived an old man named Jacob. He had 12 sons, but he did not love them all the same. His favorite was Joseph, the son of his old age, and everyone in the family knew it. One day, Jacob gave Joseph a gift he gave to none of the others, a beautiful coat of many colors. To Joseph, it was a treasure. But to his 10 older brothers, that coat was a wound. Every color was a reminder that their father loved him more. And then Joseph began to dream. In the night, God gave him dreams unlike any other. One morning, he ran to tell his brothers what he had seen. "Listen," he said, "we were binding sheaves of grain in the field when my sheaf rose and stood upright, and all of your sheaves gathered around and bowed down to mine." His brothers' faces went cold. "So you think you will rule over us?" they said. And they hated him even more. Joseph dreamed again, this time the sun, the moon, and 11 stars all bowing down to him. Even his father frowned at this one. But Jacob kept the dream quietly in his heart, wondering what it might mean. Sometime later, the brothers took their flocks far away to find pasture. Jacob called Joseph. "Go and see if your brothers are well," he said. Joseph put on his colorful coat and set out alone across the hills, not knowing he would not return for many years. The brothers saw him coming from far off, that unmistakable coat shining in the sun, and a dark thought passed between them. "Here comes the dreamer," they said. "Let us kill him and throw him into a pit. Then we will see what becomes of his dreams." But the oldest Reuben could not bear it. "Let us not take his life," he pleaded. "Do not shed blood, just throw him into this pit." Reuben planned to come back later and rescue him. So when Joseph arrived, they seized him, tore off his coat, and threw him down into the empty well. As Joseph cried out from the darkness, his brothers sat down to eat, as if nothing had happened. Then they looked up and saw a caravan of traders on the horizon, camels loaded with spices, on their way to Egypt. "What do we gain if we kill our brother?" said Judah. "Let us sell him instead." And so, for 20 pieces of silver, they sold Joseph to the traders. He was dragged away toward Egypt, looking back at the brothers who had betrayed him, his hands bound, his coat gone. Then the brothers took his beautiful coat, killed a goat, and dipped the coat in its blood. They brought it to their father. Jacob recognized it at once, and his heart broke. "A wild animal has devoured my son," he wept. And he mourned for Joseph for many days, refusing to be comforted. Meanwhile, Joseph arrived in Egypt, a stranger in a strange land. He was sold again, this time to Potiphar, the captain of Pharaoh's guard. But even as a slave, something was different about Joseph. The Lord was with him, and everything he touched seemed to prosper. Potiphar saw it too. He put Joseph in charge of his entire household, his fields, his servants, everything he owned. From a slave, Joseph had risen to be a trusted master of the house. But his testing was far from over. Potiphar's wife wanted Joseph to betray his master. Again and again she tempted him, and again he refused. "How could I do such a wickedness and sin against God?" he said. But one day, in her anger at being refused, she seized his cloak and screamed a lie. She accused Joseph of a crime he did not commit, and though he was innocent, there was no one to defend him. Potiphar was furious, and Joseph was thrown into prison, betrayed by his brothers, now betrayed by a lie. Alone again, in the darkness of an Egyptian dungeon. But even in prison, the Lord was with Joseph. The prison keeper saw his character and put him in charge of all the other prisoners. And there, two men were thrown into the dungeon, Pharaoh's cupbearer and his baker. One night, both men had troubling dreams. "Do not interpretations belong to God?" Joseph said. "Tell me your dreams." To the cupbearer, he gave good news. In 3 days, he would be restored to Pharaoh's side. To the baker, sorrowful news. And exactly as Joseph said, it came to pass. "Remember me," Joseph asked the cupbearer, "when it is well with you." But the cupbearer walked free and forgot him. 2 long years passed, 2 more years in prison, until one night, Pharaoh himself had a dream that no one in Egypt could explain. He dreamed of 7 fat cows, swallowed up by 7 thin and ugly cows. Then 7 healthy heads of grain, devoured by 7 withered ones. Pharaoh woke troubled, and none of his wise men could tell him what it meant. Suddenly, the cupbearer remembered. "There is a young Hebrew in the prison," he told Pharaoh, "who interpreted my dream, and it came true." At once, Pharaoh sent for Joseph. They shaved him, gave him clean clothes, and brought him, from the dungeon, straight into the throne room of the most powerful man on earth. "I cannot interpret dreams," Joseph told him, "but God will give Pharaoh the answer." He listened, and then he spoke. "The 7 fat cows are 7 years of great plenty. The 7 thin cows are 7 years of famine that will follow. God is showing Pharaoh what he is about to do. Egypt will feast, and then Egypt will starve. Let Pharaoh choose a wise man," Joseph continued, "to store grain during the good years, so the nation will survive the famine." Pharaoh looked at him and said, "Can we find anyone else like this man, in whom is the Spirit of God?" And in a single moment, everything changed. Pharaoh placed his own ring on Joseph's finger, dressed him in fine linen, and put a gold chain around his neck. "Only in the throne will I be greater than you," he said. In one day, Joseph went from a forgotten prisoner to the ruler of all Egypt, second only to Pharaoh himself. The dreamer was now a ruler. For 7 years, the harvest was enormous, and Joseph stored grain in every city until it was beyond measure. Then, just as God had shown him, the good years ended, and the famine began. It spread across every land, and soon it reached all the way back to Canaan, to the family that had sold him. Jacob, now very old, heard there was grain in Egypt. So he sent his 10 sons, the same brothers, to buy food. And when they arrived, they bowed low before the Egyptian ruler who controlled the grain, never recognizing that the man before them was the little brother they had thrown into a pit. Joseph knew them instantly, and in that moment, his dreams from long ago came rushing back, the sheaves bowing, the stars bowing, but he did not reveal himself, not yet. He tested their hearts to see if they had changed, demanding they bring back his youngest brother, Benjamin. When at last they returned with Benjamin, and Joseph saw that his brothers were willing to sacrifice themselves to protect the youngest, he could hold back no longer. He sent every Egyptian out of the room. And then, weeping so loudly they could hear him, he spoke. "I am Joseph," he said. "Is my father still alive?" His brothers were speechless, terrified. But Joseph said, "Come close to me. I am your brother, the one you sold into Egypt. Do not be angry with yourselves. It was not you who sent me here, but God, to save many lives." And he fell on Benjamin's neck and wept. and kissed all his brothers. The betrayal, the pit, the slavery, the prison, all of it, God had woven into a plan to save them. "You meant it for evil," Joseph would tell them, "but God meant it for good." Word reached Jacob that his son was alive and ruler of Egypt. The old man could hardly believe it. He set out on the long journey, and when father and son finally met again after all those years, Joseph threw his arms around him and wept for a long, long time. Joseph's story reminds us that our darkest moments are not the end of the story. The pit was not the end. The prison was not the end. What others meant for harm, God can turn into something that saves. If Joseph's journey moved you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe, because there are so many more stories like this one to come. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.